Thank you for joining me. So just lately I have been posting a few videos about the predictions that I've made around the election and posting them on different forms of social media. Don't have to, I can keep this all to myself, but I decide to share. You can listen, you can ignore, but I take offense to when I am personally attacked. I have no problems at all when somebody disagrees with a perception, because every single person on this earth has a different perception. We could all read the same book and walk away with a different interpretation of that book. That's just human nature. And I don't mind if you actually want to attack an actual story that's being told, but when you attack me personally, that says everything about you and nothing about me. If you want to call me something and call me names, that is a reflection on how you see yourself. It doesn't mean I have to walk away going, oh, well, I must be that because that person said so. What I find is when I put up predictions, I'm seeing things from a higher perspective. My guides work from a realm of a higher perspective than people that live on Earth. People that live on Earth have massive egos and they need to be right. Our guides don't need to be right. They just share information to help us. So I trust the information that I get given and what I get shown for the future. Now, I've had a lot of people just lately want to talk about, they keep saying that I have no idea what I'm talking about because we have Agenda 21 and we have the New World Order and we're all going to be taken over by the elites. And I have a few problems with that. The thing is, you will find a spiritual person is open to listening to all points of view. A closed-off person won't listen to anything but themselves. So whenever you attack another person, you're just showing your ignorance. Why don't you just stop for a moment, use some intelligence, if there is any, in your brain, and just, you can form your opinions without having to be intimidating. Because to me, whenever I see somebody that writes something, the words were wake up. Like if someone writes and says, you don't know what's going on, wake up. From my perspective, and I'm looking at someone who's speaking in that way, I see it as someone who hasn't done anything to improve the situation, but they are trying to warn everyone. They are a God-given person on this earth that's trying to warn everybody else and trying to wake everyone else up to see things their own way. You have to see things their way, but in that same respect, they are not willing to see things my way. But I don't ask them to wake up. I don't ask them to become more consciously aware. I just delete them. But why can't it go both ways? Why do we all have to wake up to just your belief? Because I have a few questions around that. As what I see my guides showing me, and as this Agenda 21 and the New World Order and all the other theories that go with it. Firstly, if we're heading into that direction, and people have written on my page and said, we're going to be taken over by elites and we will own nothing and be happy. There's a few things around that. To start with, happiness does not come from owning things. Happiness is something that is on the inside. You don't get happiness from having things. When you die, none of that goes with you. So you don't really own it. You're just using it here on earth. Try stuffing your house in your coffin with yourself when you're heading out of this earth. You don't own it. And you have mortgages and the banks own things. So you can't even have a rational argument with somebody around we will own nothing and be happy. And you could actually own a lot of stuff and not be happy. So that theory just doesn't even line up. There's a fear with losing control. There's a fear that someone else is going to have to tell you how to live your life, and that's where your fear is coming from. And you've always been told how to live your life by the way society is. If it got to a point where, let's say there's 100,000 or even 200,000 elites of the world, and they are totally in control of absolutely everything. Do you think for a moment that the other, there's 7 billion people on this earth, and a lot of those are children. So let's say even if there was 5 billion people, do you think that they would just sit back and say, okay, we're just going to comply with your rules? Because when COVID happened and it became mandatory to stay home and mandatory to wear masks and mandatory to go and get vaccines, did everybody comply? Or did some comply and some not comply? You can't, everybody has a different perception. Everyone sees things differently, so you can't expect that everyone is going to comply and follow these elites. So when you're sitting there and telling me that we will own nothing but we will be happy, you're basically saying, my hands are tied, I can't do anything about it, and I'm not going to revolt. Don't you think as a group of people that want freedom on this earth, don't you think we would all band together united to revolt against a system like that? And now the other question I have is, who are the elites that are going to control the world? Because I see people like Putin and the chairman in China, what's his name? Chairman Z, or I don't know what his C or whatever his name is, an X and an I. I see people like them, they won't be controlled. So were China and Russia going to join USA and Australia and the UK, and are they all joining together with every single country around the world and then just putting 12 people in power? Is that how your system works? And you think that Putin's going to be part of... I mean, if he wants to be a controlling person of the world, why would he join into a one-world system? Or China, why would China join into a one-world system if they want to be the power of the world? I can't quite understand in your theories of we're going to have one government, how different countries who are very power hungry are going to give up that power to just let there be one government. How does that work? Like, that's a question I have. I have a lot of questions, but no one seems to be able to give me the answer because they know what they've read, you know. And something else that was brought to my attention was back in 1991, there was a few people talking about the way that they were trying to control farmers especially, and control the way the food was manufactured. And so this was being 1991, and a lot of people knew about it in 1991. So if there is some kind of secret scheme happening, people have to know about it. And as the years go on and more people are talking about it, more people know about it. So 1991, they're talking about it. We're now 2022. So in that whole time, all those years, over the last 20 odd years where they've been talking about this, more and more people have learnt about it. Why is it not, like, why is no one stopping it? Why is everyone just standing up saying, well, this is what's going to happen? I've seen people get up on a stage and give a lecture and saying, this is what's going to happen, and they're dead against it. But they're not doing anything about it. Like, so if you really don't want to be in total control, be totally controlled, why are you sitting behind your computer on your keyboard and and finding people's pages to dive onto, and then typing, "You're all crazy. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be the end of the world." Why are you doing that, but not being proactive and actually getting out there and joining the government, like getting onto your governments and getting onto your local areas and from the ground roots level, stopping things? Why aren't you joining up with all the other people that are of the same opinion as you? Why aren't you banding together as a united force and stopping it? What is the benefit of just typing on the computer? And is that because later on you can say, "I told you also, I told you so," and then your ego feels good? I don't know. Like, I see visions of things that are unfolding in the future, and I share them so that people know that we are going into a better place. I don't have to share those visions. I can just sit at home and keep it totally to myself and let you all just flounder along trying to work it out yourselves. So, I don't know, I have so many questions, and I just wish someone would sit down and just answer them. But they don't. They just fire back with insult after insult. Like, you know what it is when somebody is telling you they know something that you don't know, is feeding their ego and making them feel good about themselves. And another thing is these little smiley faces. Like, when someone reads a comment, right, and they don't agree with it, but they don't have the emotional intelligence to scroll past, they'll leave a little smiley face like, "You don't know what you're talking about." That's intimidating. When you do that to somebody, you are intimidating them. And why are you intimidating someone else? To feel good about yourself, because you probably don't feel very good about yourself. Why not scroll past? I noticed that spiritual people, enlightened people, and people that are very, very aware, and I've noticed this a lot with people that have been following my page for the last 11 years, they're so highly advanced in their emotional intelligence and their conscious awareness. When they see an insulting comment on my page, they do not answer. They do not feel like they have to protect me. They do not feel like they have to protect themselves. They don't feel like they have to contribute to the conversation. They totally ignore it. They just move on. Except there's people out there that are not at that level yet. They're still at an egotistical level, and they need to fight back. I have the conversation with people in my household, like they will read a comment that's just rude, right? And there's people in my house that will say, "How do you just ignore that? How come you can't fire back at them?" I said, "Because if I fire back at them, I become them. I lower myself to their level, and I didn't do all this work to take myself back down to that level. I'm going to stay up here, and I hope one day they come up here. Why would I want to go down to that same level and just write back rude words to a person? What does that gain? I don't need to feed my ego like that." So my visions, if you're not interested in my visions, get off my channel. I didn't open the door and say, "Come on in, insult me, leave." And if you don't leave, I'll just delete and ban you anyway. So you're just wasting your time. The way I see things unfolding is there is a combination of what people are saying about within the New World Order and within the digital systems. There is parts of it that are true, but there are other parts that aren't true, where we will have power over our own money. I have never seen, my guides have never told me that we're going to be living on an earth where we are totally controlled and we have no say. My guides have never told me that information. There is also this, you understand manifesting, right? You understand what you put your focus on is what you create. So those people out there that continually focus on the New World Order, Agenda 21, on focusing on losing control and typing it everywhere and telling everybody, you are keeping it alive. You are helping to manifest it into creation. But you don't want it. You don't want it. It's the last thing you want, but you continually talk about it. Is that not the energy? Are you not still manifesting the energy? Because you probably can't see it that way because you're not at that level of thinking yet. You're still at the egotistical level of thinking. So we always have to, we focus on what we want. We want more control of our money. So we focus on more control of our money. Don't put the focus on losing control, put the focus on control. Come up with ideas in your mind. Be creative. Put your energy into that, into the positivity, not into the negative. Don't keep the negative alive because you're ruining it for yourself without even realizing it. So parts of it are unfolding, but I still see us having control of our money. I don't see the government having control of our money. I see people coming into different areas of power that want to make a change in a positive way. I know there's a lot of other people who have very strong religious beliefs that I keep hearing this is biblical and that the God's going to save us all. I'm open to listening to anybody's point of view, but I would like to see things actually happening. I get really disillusioned when I watch, especially if I watch astrologers with dates, and dates have come and gone and absolutely nothing has happened. And that's why I don't ever give dates, because I know people hang hope on a date, and a date comes and goes and nothing has happened, and then they lose faith. So just don't put a date on things. And how can things change if people have free will? If you're given an opportunity by your guides, they give you an opportunity and you don't take the opportunity, your free will's just changed the course. And everyone, there's 7 billion people on this world doing that. They're all changing their courses all the time because of free will. So how can you put a date on things? So you can call me disillusional, but everything so far, I've been talking about stuff for the last 11 years online, and it's unfolded. It's always unfolded the way that my guides have shown me. It's not me. I'm just the messenger. I'm just sharing the messages. And I choose to because I can see it going in a better direction. There's a lot of other psychics or intuitives, or even people that aren't even claiming, they don't claim to be psychic or intuitive, but they see things very, very similar because they're listening to their instinct. So your soul came into that body. Your soul, before you were born, saw your life. Your soul has seen your life and seen what you're coming into before you're born. So why did you choose to come here? Why did you choose to come into your body if the whole thing was just going to be a total mess? Wouldn't you have decided, I think I'll just stay on the other side? No, because your soul chose to come here to be part of the change. It's difficult, but your soul came here to be part of the change. So be active about change. Don't just sit there bagging other people on the internet because they have a different opinion to you. Do something. Band together with people who are like-minded like you. Like people that went and protested. They got together and went out on the streets and protested. That is people standing up to authority to saying, we don't want to do it that way. So why do you think that there's going to be an elite group of people in charge of everyone, and we're all going to sit back and go, it's okay, take over, we won't do anything. Are you serious? Do you seriously think that we're just going to sit back and do nothing if it got to that point? Of course not. You saw it. You've seen it before. People will revolt. People stand up to authority and they stand together. So I'm going to continue to do my predictions as I see them. I don't claim to be right all the time. I don't claim to actually get the messages my guides give me absolutely down to perfection, but I'm very, very close. I'll keep doing it. For those of you that have been supporting me for a really long time, I thank you so much. For those of you that have just suddenly popped up on my pages and have never ever heard of me before and who are insulting me, have a nice day. You are banned and deleted. And those of you that want to hang around and have a bit of an open mind and stop jumping to conclusions, I welcome you to join us on this journey, because this may really surprise a lot of you. But when we die, we become a consciousness who loves one another. It's only on Earth that we have problems with people. So at the moment, you might be looking at me and laughing and saying I have no idea what I'm talking about and calling me every name under the sun. And when I die and when you die, my soul will love your soul and your soul will love my soul. That might be a scary thought for you, having that much love, because you probably, if you are that much of a insulting type person on this earth, you probably don't have very much love for yourself. And so because you're in so much pain and you hurt so much, you try to attack other people so that they feel your hurt. And I'm telling you right now that my soul loves your soul. So thank you for listening to me.